What is going on, my loves? Welcome back to my channel, and thank you so much for clicking on the video and joining me on this fun little Q&A that I'm going to be doing. I asked the question on Instagram, so it's not like a YouTube specific Q&A, but I did get some pretty good questions about traveling, how I do my planning, how I stick to my diet, how I do my business and all of that. So I'm really excited to answer these questions, and hopefully they're helpful to you guys so you can get out there, get traveling, go explore the world, and just have some fun. So with that being said, let's jump right into it. Alright, so the first question that I got was, do you plan your entire trip beforehand or do you just decide as you go? So I definitely do decide as I go. There's been about like 1 to 2 times where I've planned everything beforehand, and every single time I regret it, just because when you're traveling and you get out there, you either meet people or you just get to a place and you're like, wow, I just really love it here. Like, I want to stay longer, I want to explore longer. So when I went to Southeast Asia, everything was literally like day by day. I was planning it. I did a trip like that before in Europe as well. I think a couple times I've done that. And it's just the best way to do it, because like I said, if you're staying at a hostel, you might meet people and then you guys decide to go somewhere together. If you meet like a cool group of people and they have some plans and you just want to join them, it's kind of what I did in India. Or, you know, like I said, if you're in a city where you just feel like you haven't seen enough of it yet. For me, for example, I feel like I need to be in a place longer than at least 3 days to really get a feel for the city's culture, their history, the people. So I definitely recommend just giving yourself at least like a bit of space in between the traveling that you're doing, just because you might want to stay somewhere longer or you might want to just change up the plans a little bit. So that's just my recommendation. I know a lot of people like to have structure and they like to know where they're going, but that's kind of like the beauty when you do go traveling, is that if you do have the budget and if you have the money, and honestly it's not that expensive, well, depending on where you go, but if you do have the flexibility, it's so much better, because you just get to experience things that you weren't expecting to experience otherwise, because you didn't know what was coming next. So that's just what I recommend. That's what I like to do, and it's always worked out the best. The next question is best way to find cheap plane tickets. So my friends, Skyscanner is definitely the best way to find airplane tickets. Another really good app, or not really app, website, is just Google Flights. If you go on Google, it'll show you the best days to fly. It'll show you the best destinations. So let's say you put in India, it'll show you the places that are cheapest to fly to from India. And then if you go in the dates, it'll also show you what dates are the cheapest. So either Google Flights or Skyscanner, I would definitely recommend those two, because they show you a different variety of airlines, and they also show you the best dates when you can travel. So the next one is, how do you balance traveling and work? Do you have a specific time during the day or specific days during the week that you dedicate strictly to working, responding to emails, clients, etc.? So I don't. Which would be a really good idea, but then again, my work schedule just really isn't consistent. Some days I might have 2 or 3 or 4, never that many, let's say like 2 or 1 client plan to make. Maybe I'll have like a few emails here and there. I specifically do have my check-in days like during the weekend, like Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So normally I do make time those days to work. So it's all based around pretty much when my mailbox is looking the busiest. But I don't have a specific schedule for working when I travel, just because like I said, it's not very consistent. So it's really hard to know exactly like when I'm gonna have to sit down and work, because I may not always have emails, or I might have a lot of emails. So what I would recommend is, maybe if you do have like specific work to do every single day, obviously just set aside some time every single day to do some work. That way you don't get behind and it weighs heavy on your mind and you can't actually enjoy your traveling, which is definitely something that I mean, I wouldn't say that it kind of weighed heavy on my mind, because I never really allowed myself to get behind, but I always felt like I had something to do when I was traveling. So this time around, I definitely decided to slow down on work and just really dedicate my time to travel, because I didn't want to have to think about work and travel at the same time. Although when I did go to Thailand, I set aside like 5 to 6 days to literally just sit down and work on the ebook that I wrote guess early last year. I wrote it at the end of last year, but released it early this year. But I knew that that was something that I really wanted to do, and I had already been traveling for like 4 months. So I was like, okay, I'm ready to just like sit down, relax a little bit, and just get really creative, because I felt very like inspired. And after Bali, my creative juices were just like flowing all over the place. So that's why I made it a goal to go to Thailand and find like a quiet little Airbnb, a quiet area where I could just kind of seclude myself and get into some work on my book. So that's exactly what I did. So it's just really good to play it by ear and kind of see like how much of a workload you have, what your priorities are, and what you gotta do. Do you travel alone, and do you hire a tour guide or company at every country you go? I'm really curious about language barriers, security, location, etc. Can't wait for that video. Yay, I finally made it. It's like long overdue, like 3 weeks long overdue, but I'm here, I'm doing it. But I normally do travel alone. Like I normally plan the trips by myself, and then if I meet people along the way, I'm like, cool, let's hang out. But other than that, it's just me, and I normally don't hire travel guides or companies or anything like that, just because I feel like when you do those kind of tours, everything is just very structured, and sometimes you just don't want to do exactly what they're doing. Like I've really learned that even though I love going to museums, I love going to churches, I love seeing the main tourist attractions, I also love to just like walk and get lost in the city and just like get a vibe for the people and see what I run into and see like what I can find without like planning anything. So that's kind of why I just like to get up, look at the map and say, okay, I'm gonna walk to this place and I want to see this, and then see what happens along the way, like what kind of shops I find or who I meet. Obviously, if you have only like a short amount of time, then you can definitely do some type of tour so you can see everything. But just remember that when you're traveling, you don't have to do what everyone else is doing. Try new things, because that's the only way that you're gonna find what you like, you know. Like not everyone loves to go to museums, not everyone loves to go see historic sites. So don't just do that because it's a thing to do when traveling. No, see what else that city has to offer that you have never tried before, and go try it, because maybe that's what you like to do when traveling. I've learned that. What have I learned? Well, I've learned that I freaking love art. So now like I actually do make it a point to go to at least like one art gallery wherever I go, because I love them. Also love going to churches, but I also, like I said, love just walking the streets, taking pictures, finding good restaurants and sitting down and having like a dessert and a coffee or a decaf cappuccino, because I don't drink caffeine, but just little things like that. So even though it's really cool to have a tour guide sometimes, especially if you are at a historic site where you really want to learn about it, which is what I've done before. Like if I'm at a museum where I really want to learn about what they're teaching, or a historic site like at the Colosseum in Rome, I took a guided tour because I really wanted to learn the history. So if you really want to learn the history, that's something really cool to do. I just realized that I'm talking way too fast and I need to chill out, but let's try this. Let's get better at speaking slowly. Okay, so if you guys do want to visit a historic site and really get to learn about the historic site and learn about the events that happen there, then obviously it might be a better idea to hire someone that can walk you through it and tell you all about it. You can also Google it and learn about it as you go, because I've done that before, and there's a lot of information on Google that you can find on, you know, touristic sites if you really want to learn the history or who's the painter, or, you know, little things like that. So I did a walking tour in Madrid, and that was amazing because it was just me and one local, and he literally told me about all of Madrid. I learned so much. It was like 3 hours long, and it was super incredibly interesting. So if that's something that you're into and you're traveling alone, then you can definitely do that as well, because it's really fun getting to walk around with a local, because they just know all the little things that you might not have known otherwise. And another cool thing as well to do is, if you do use Airbnb, which is normally what I use, either that or Hostel World if I want to stay at a hostel, but for the most part I like my space, so I like to do Airbnbs. You can do that, and you can get a private room. So normally if you find a really good one, like they gave you a really nice room, obviously there's bathrooms available. You can normally use the kitchen as well if you're into cooking while you're away. And the locals will also give you a lot of recommendations, and they'll normally like give you a map, and you can ask them about like the transit system and what's like good, what kind of events are going on, so you don't have to specifically go to all the main attractions, and you can actually go to like local markets, or maybe like a, you know, a theater show or a night event or something cool like that. How much do you think you spend per day on average with food, transportation, rooms, extra fun stuff, traveling next month and trying to budget? So this is my weak point right here, is because I don't budget when I travel. And it's not because I'm rich, because trust me girl, I am not. Like, I'm not at all, not even close. But I've learned to just like let go of money, and I feel like the more that I let go, the more things just kind of flow. And I try not to worry about it when I'm traveling. I try to just be very conscious, obviously. So like I'll try to cook a breakfast and dinner, or breakfast and lunch at home, and then I'll eat out once a day. That way I'm also cooking for myself and I'm not constantly eating out. I obviously try to find the cheapest rooms on Airbnb. If some places are looking super expensive, then I will stay at a hostel. What else? Obviously I try to use like buses and trains as much as I can, but if there's some days where you're just like feeling really tired and your backpack is really heavy and you're like, I'm not gonna walk 15 minutes to the train station with this thing on my back, I'm just gonna get an Uber or a taxi. So it's honestly, it really depends. And I should sit down and try to figure out like how much I spent in the past like 9 months on my trip, but I kind of don't want to because it was quite a bit. And you know, like it really depends where you are. Like in Bali, for example, you could probably make it through a day on like $20, if not less. In Europe, obviously it's gonna be a little bit more, but still, if you're really conscious with your money, you can honestly go on like a $30 per day easily. So it really doesn't have to be that expensive. You just have to be very cautious with how you're spending your money. How much on average do you spend at each city? How far in advance do you buy plane tickets? Any special tips that are not so well known when traveling alone or in general? Like I said, I don't know how much I spend on average in a city, because it depends. Some days I might spend like $8, some days I might spend like $100, and it just depends on like what happens that day and like what kind of adventure you want to get into. So it's really, honestly, it's not that hard to figure it out, because you can Google a lot of these things and really figure out like what your spending range would be wherever you're at, because today we have the beautiful searching engines where you can literally find anything out with a matter of seconds. So if that's something that's really concerning to you for your travels, and you can definitely do that. Like I said, you can easily go on like a $20 to $30 per day budget and make it out just fine. That's like really high up for Indonesia and Asia, but in Europe that's pretty normal. So in Asia you could literally make it through like $15. I swear, it's so cheap. How far in advance do you buy plane tickets? Literally, like, it depends. If I'm planning my trip, which I normally don't, so it'd be like 2 days in advance. In Asia, you'll find extremely cheap plane tickets because everything is so close together. Same with Europe. So if that's where you're looking to travel, then you really don't have to worry about like buying them too far in advance. But obviously if you do, they're a lot cheaper. So if you can plan things ahead and you're on a budget, that might be the best way to do it. But I normally, within like 2 days, sometimes a day, I'll buy like my bus, plane, train tickets. So just depending on where you are and what kind of services they offer. But normally bus or planes if you're traveling really close. Obviously trains too, but I don't know. In Asia, only like certain places had trains. India did, but I think that was it. I don't know. Well, it depends what part of Asia too. So it's really big. But any special tips that are not so well known when traveling alone? Just trust, like keep your eyes open, obviously, like use common sense, be aware of your surroundings, but just trust people. Like I think we're so scared because of what we see on the news and what everyone talks about, but when you actually get there, you realize that it's really not that bad, and people are actually really friendly and they're just trying to help. They're just really sweet people. Like, just obviously it depends where you are. I say that again because everywhere is so different, but like ask, you know, wherever you're staying, ask like, is it safe to walk around here at night? Is it a safe area? Should I grab a car? Should I grab a tuk-tuk, which is like the little bicycle with the wagon on the back? Should I grab a taxi? Like, just ask the locals. If you're scared of walking around at night, or you know, if you're traveling alone, hostels are definitely a great idea because you get to meet people. You're not going to be alone, and they do offer a lot of tours in a group, so you usually end up meeting people that way. So that's what I would recommend if you're kind of scared of just like traveling alone. But I think it's good to give yourself that space, because when you travel alone, that's when you give yourself that chance to really get in touch with yourself and kind of get in touch with your thoughts and what's going on within you all the time when you're distracted, surrounded by other people. So give yourself that time to be alone. Go explore things on your own, because when you're with other people, normally you have to plan everything around others as well. You can't just think of yourself. So really give yourself that time to be by yourself, and just make sure you do your research before, and you look up like safest neighborhoods. Like I said, if you want to stay at a hostel, or ask the locals, ask Google how safe specific areas are, and dress, you know, appropriately. Don't be showing too much, because obviously you don't want to get the wrong kind of attention. Unfortunately, we have to think that way because people just see things certain ways. So, you know, if you're a female, just dress conservatively wherever you go. Keep to yourself. I normally smile too much at people, and it gets me in trouble. It makes opens the door for a lot of conversations sometimes, but it's okay. Like I said, people they're friendly, and if you get the wrong vibe, just, you know, put on a strong face on, put on a confident face on, and people usually get that energy. You know, like if you're putting out the energy of like, I'm strong, I'm confident, can't mess with me, people normally don't really mess with you. Like, sounds crazy, but trust me, people can sense that kind of stuff, even if they're not aware of it. Next question is, how do you gain confidence as a woman traveling alone? How do you plan for safe areas to travel, local customs, etc.? So literally what I just said, Google is a really amazing way to figure out what kind of things you should watch for, how you should dress, what the rules are, and all of that, what kind of neighborhoods you should stay in. So that's what I would recommend looking at beforehand. And how do I gain confidence traveling as a woman alone? Doing it, literally doing it. And I guess just mentally practicing things like affirmations, like saying I am confident, I am strong, I'm independent, and just continuously repeating these things in your head. And the more that you get out there, the more that you explore by yourself, the more you do it, the more you get out there and explore things for yourself, and the more that you see that really everything is kind of safe, and the news just kind of blows everything out of proportion. And the more trust that you're gonna gain within yourself to know that you're okay being by yourself, and obviously, of course, keeping God in your mind and knowing that He's always with you, and that there is someone always protecting you, because that's literally how I see it. I always feel like I'm walking with someone, because I am. I know He's there with me. So that's kind of like how I feel confident, and I trust and have faith that I am always being accompanied, and I'm always being watched, and someone's always taking care of me. What was the most unexpected gift, lesson learned from traveling, general, specific places, trips, etc.? So for me, the most meaningful one was, this might sound weird to a lot of people, but I would say finding God. I went to India kind of with the thought of like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna find a guru, like he's just gonna come out of somewhere and he's gonna be like, I'm here, I'm gonna teach you all the things, and I'm gonna help you walk the path. The more that I traveled, and the deeper that my meditation practice got, and the more experiences that I had, the more that I realized that, you know, there is no specific guru, and there is no place that I need to go find God, because He's always within me. So I don't need to go to India. I don't need to go meditate in a cave to find God. He's just within me, you know, like He is a part of me. I am a part of Him, because I am a reflection of Him. So this might sound weird to a lot of you guys who maybe, I guess, don't have the same beliefs, which is okay. Like, I really don't expect anyone to think the way that I think, and I respect what everyone else believes in. But to me, that was the most unexpected gift, because ever since, like, I've just felt a sense of completeness, and just of this knowing that there is someone with me, always guiding me and showing me the way, and expressing Himself through me, and all the things that I share, all the captions that I write on Instagram. Like, even though I say thank you because I type them, I am very aware that it's not me who's sharing this message. It's something much greater and much wiser. You know that it's coming from a much higher source. So I think that was definitely the most beautiful thing that I got to experience while being in India, because I guess it's something that I kind of found through meditation. So, and if it wasn't for the meditative experiences that I had in India, I don't think I would have had that knowledge, and I would have probably still been looking for that one guru, or I guess God, even though he had always been within me. So I think that was definitely one of the most amazing lessons, because I now understand that everything that's happening every single day, the people that I meet, the experiences that I have, that is my guru. Like, that is God, that is him trying to teach me and helping me grow and evolve into that higher version of myself. So I no longer need to seek for anything, because everything that I need is within me. So I've always believed this, but what I experienced in India definitely strengthened that belief and the faith that I have. Where is the best place that you visited until right now? Where you're suggesting me to go first? That's probably like one of my least favorite questions, because you guys, I can't just give one place because they're all so different. Like, you just can't compare India to Iceland. You can't compare Bali to Madrid. You know, like, everywhere is so different. And I think my biggest recommendation would just be to get out there and pick one place that you feel like really called to go. Like, right now, I feel very called to go to the Grand Canyon, so I definitely want to make it out there this year. So like, sit in silence or look through a book and see what your soul goes towards, and go there. Like, don't listen to what I have to say, because every place is so beautiful. Bali is like one of my favorite places. I love Bali. But then again, every place is so beautiful, so I don't want you to go somewhere because I recommended it. I want you to go somewhere because you feel called to go to that place. Where do you find affordable places to stay? Airbnb or booking.com, but Airbnb is normally the best. Hostel World is really good too, but it just depends what you're looking for. But on Airbnb, you can look up for private rooms, and normally it's private, so you don't have to stay in a room with like 6 different people like you would at a hostel. And they're clean, you get your own bathroom. Like I said, sometimes they have a kitchen, so I would definitely recommend either of those 3. Where do you find out about all these fun activities, cooking and yoga courses, etc.? Do you just Google it? Lots of love. Lots of love to you, love. Mwah. So much love. But I normally just Google it. Like I said, Airbnb experiences is a great way to find experiences wherever you go. They don't have it everywhere, but there's a lot of new cities that are getting the Airbnb experiences, so I would recommend that. Groupon's really good. Groupon's amazing to find like really cool experiences, but Google is really amazing as well. Bookyogaretreats.com is a really good one for retreats and like getaways, and yeah, those 3 are really good. That's about all the questions that I got. I hope that was helpful and not too long. If I get enough questions, I could make a next video, but I just don't know how helpful my tips are. I hope they are helpful, but I hope this was helpful to you guys, and hopefully if you are planning a trip, you just get out there and do it, because the best way to start, like anything in life, is literally just get started. Like, just hop on a plane and go. If you have the money, if you have the resources, if you have the time, literally get on that plane and go, because once you start going, you just flow. It's like everything in life. When you are in alignment with your truth, with what your soul wants you to do at that time, everything's just gonna fall into place. And yeah, you're gonna run into struggles. You might miss your train, you might buy the wrong flight, you might not book the Airbnb for the right date. You know, all of that happens, trust me. I've done it multiple times. But that's the beauty of it. You know, that's where life tests you, and you develop patience with yourself. You find another way out, you find your plan B, you just become more flexible, and you realize that things don't always go as planned, but as long as you just stay open-minded and find a way to fix it, find a solution instead of making it into a problem, then things are always going to work out. So that's the beauty of traveling. It's just getting uncomfortable, getting out of your comfort zone, trying to figure things out and learn things from scratch every single time you visit a new country, a new city. And that is how you grow. That is how you learn what you're made of, and that is how you just experience life with your fingertips instead of just having everything handed to you like you normally do back home. Not for everyone, but for a lot of people, we just have everything like so easy and available to us, and that's what I love about traveling. It's just like having to do everything myself. It's really cool. It's really cool getting to do life differently and experiencing new cultures and just seeing new different sides of yourself, because every new country that you visit brings out a different side of you, and sometimes you even feel reconnected with another side of yourself as well. So if there's anything I can say is, if you have the travel bug, it's for a reason. Your soul wants some new experiences. Your soul is ready for growth. So get out there, do it, and enjoy it. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful. I love y'all. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Love y'all.